Hi guys, welcome back to this week's Something Something interview. With me today I've got Gerry Paul, the director of CubaDupa, and Bianca Bailey, the festival coordinator and also a member of Worry Donna. Thanks for joining us today, guys.
Thank you, Bonnie. Great to be here.
How's this year been so far?
It's been epic. For the last couple of years, CubaDupa has been sort of derailed. 2 years ago, by the awful tragedies in Christchurch, after the mosque shootings, the whole country went into a national high security alert. So we had to go off the street and into venues, which was also cool, but not a street festival. And then last year, of course, COVID. So we were just so amped about and nervous about getting it back on the street, and also the public were just like, it was the most anticipated festival in years, So the fact that we got it across the line, it was a raging success. We had just, so many people on site. The police estimated that on the Saturday there was over 120,000 people, and probably 40 or 50,000 on the Sunday. And the spirit of everyone there was just incredible. So we're just over the moon.
It was definitely pretty cool. I think I was pretty fresh to the CubaDupa team last year when we unfortunately had to cancel. So for me, it was just a massive highlight to actually be able to see the project through, and to have sort of the CubaDupa creativity and kaupapa just flowing through the streets was a really amazing thing. Yeah.
What were some highlights of the festival? Did you have any favourite parts of this year's in particular? Like you said, there was a big anticipation. Maybe that was a highlight in itself that could actually go on.
Something club. Yeah, that messy coca stage. It was awesome, and it really developed this year, as well as having a strong program. Also, like the students from the design school, like making the beautiful stage installations and the installations and decor around the park. It just really came together beautifully, Some other highlights for me: one, Cubasonic, which was the huge project where we had over 200 musicians between Laundry Bar and the Bucket Fountain, all the way down the street with an overhead sound system with 52 speakers, all with individual outputs. So the sound was being moved up and down the street, and then 18 different groups performing. And it didn't happen on the Saturday, which was a disappointment, but we finally got it up and running on the Sunday. And just the way it brought everyone together was just huge, Jess B's performance on the Saturday night, that was just a rager, Troy Kingy was fantastic. A lot of the street theatre activities, we had a guy, Conrad Coombe, he was Garden Friends, so he was a garden gnome riding a giant rooster called Rachel, and just all these little kind of incidental things that people would experience between stages. The Year Between Us was another one, which was Gusney Street, where we're on now. Just down the road we had a high wire going over the street, and there was an aerial dance performance with Rodney Bell and Chloe Loftus. It was called The Year Between Us, and Rodney was, suspended above the street in his wheelchair with Chloe interacting. Yeah, I could literally talk all day about the highlights. There are a few from me.
I think my favourite part is all of the different external stages. It's a really great part for us to sort of engage with the local community and have different communities putting on different events, and particularly I love the Garage Project Wild Workshop stage, which we had Gussie Larkin programming an entirely female-fronted non-binary program. That was something that was really special to see, really awesome to manage to get to be a part of as well. Snuck-offs, Valhalla was awesome. Yeah, so many different communities, just being able to pull them in. We're sitting in where our Samba HQ was, which was also another really great thing. Yeah.
How early on does preparation begin for CubaDupa? Are you guys already thinking about next year? Is it like a full-time thing, like throughout the year?
Yeah, it is. Like some of the projects we're working on for 2 years, like Cubasonic, the big project we did this year, we had been working on for 3 years. Of course, next year, now that the Australasian bubble is open again, there's several of the bands that we already kind of paid deposits for last year that we had to cancel. So now it's likely we'll be able to get them back next year. So we'll start coordinating with them now. We're starting to debrief with people. We're kind of working through that, seeing what worked, what didn't work from last time, starting to look at major commissions again. So, and we're also juggling classical on Cuba and Face to Face, which is another collaboration with all the dealer art galleries in Wellington, which we're putting music for small little kind of intimate concerts. That's at the end of May. So, there's loads going on, but I think we'll open our expressions of interest next month. To start getting bands applying for. Bianca's doing a session tomorrow night with the New Zealand with the Music Managers Forum, where she's doing like a speed networking with like 20 people tomorrow. Yeah. So, we're starting that process now, and we're really up for ambitious ideas, people coming to us with them.
So what's CubaDupa's like point of difference? Like, how does it compare to other festivals in New Zealand?
I guess in New Zealand, the first thing is we're like a free and open access street festival, so it's non-ticketed. So there's a really low barrier to entry for the audience and the punter, which is fantastic. And I guess the next thing for me when I first came in, so I first started working at the festival on the first year it happened, but just like in a small context. I was promoting one of the bands that was playing it there, playing at CubaDupa, and I put on an extra couple of shows at San Fran, and then it was all that really interesting like street theatre and interactions that you'd have between stages. And I think I mentioned before about the rooster. We also had like the Cuba Chapel where they're doing weddings and funerals, so you could have a faux wedding. We actually had a real wedding there as well, or you could lie in a coffin and be at your own funeral and your friends could talk about you. There was the ping pong party people, which was like a rave ping pong competition. There was again the aerial performance, circus performances, lots of pop-up dance performances. So all of these interactions you have when you're walking through the street. Another thing is the mass music concept. So over the last 5 years, we've grown this idea of mass music. The first year we started off doing it's called the Battle of the Bones. We had 76 trombonists that were parading. Half were classical from the lower end of Cuba Street and half were jazz from the upper end. And they met in the middle and had this big, riff off. Next year we had Battle of the Saxes, where we had over 50 saxophonists. The next year we had Blowing Your Own Trumpet, where we had 56, I think, trumpeters who all went around the site into these pop-up things. So this year we had CubaDupa, so the brass instruments are so this idea of mass music, and that's sort of how Cubasonic as well sort of eventuated, So the commissions that we do, people come to us with an idea, and then we sort of help facilitate that, to see it delivered. There's also the kaupapa of celebrating the street, so we don't allow any kind of stalls from outside the street to come in and put on you actually have to have a business on the street. So it's very much a celebration of the businesses that exist in Cuba Street, and the communities that exist here in Wellington. Another huge thing which I reckon sets CubaDupa apart from other festivals in Wellington is like the audience participation. And so many people came in costume this year, and it was actually quite hard to tell who was a performer and who was the audience, And I think that blurring the line of the audience and performer were really encouraging people. And again, different than the Sevens where you might get 10 people come dressed as Superman, it's actually a celebration of individuality, and people really I felt this year people felt really secure and comfortable in expressing themselves in what way they wanted, and that's something made me really proud to be a Wellingtonian, and that people could come out and I think we can actually change the culture through festivals like CubaDupa. Yeah.
What's your guys' favourite thing about Wellington?
It's very hard to choose. I think that there's a lot of people here, a lot of creatives that love to support other creatives. I think that's the best thing, definitely. I think compared to living in Auckland, I find that Wellington sort of breeds creativity a lot more than there's a lot of really special things about them, but I think you have to do a little bit of digging to find them. But no, it's pretty awesome once you find those places, yeah.
CubaDupa. Yeah, I may be biased, but CubaDupa and the spearfishing randomly. I'm a real obsessive spearfisherman, and I go out every weekend. I get in the water and I just love the sea life. There's dolphins. We've got sometimes whales. We've got seahorses and seals and just all these beautiful fish and crayfish. And we're so lucky to live in a capital city with all this beautiful. Around the south coast, over the other side of Pencarrow, Makara Coast, Kapiti Island, yeah. And we're just at the outdoors in Wellington is spectacular, We're so lucky, yeah.
What's your coffee order?
It's a hard one to get right, so I say, good morning. Can I please have a triple shot, flat white, with 1 sugar, 3/4 full, So maybe it's just like extra shot, 3/4 full, 1 sugar, but I hate it too milky, and I like it with a good bit of grunt, and sometimes it can be hard to remember all 3 things, but try it. It's an awesome coffee, and Bianca is long black. Just makes it easy, you know. One time I was playing in a band, and we were in Nashville, Tennessee, and we were making an album, and the young guy in the band, I confused him because I wanted a quadruple shot that day. So I said, 2 extra shots. He says, what? So how many shots? I said, 4 shots. So he ended up going in and ordering a large coffee with 4 extra shots. So it ended up being like 7 shots of coffee in it. And I was recording that day, and I was absolutely buzzing, you know. I was like speeding up on all the songs and everything. And it was a Starbucks. It wasn't great, but anyway, did the job.
Do you have any advice for young people entering the music industry or wanting to get into festival work, or just in the industry in general? I'd say.
Well, there's a couple of things. One is talk to as many people and make as many contacts as you can, but in a genuine way. I think if you're generally a person who's interested in people, opportunities will open for you. And sometimes, you know, you have to do things to get in the door, you know. If you need a hand volunteering or you need a hand doing something else. Actually, the first time Bianca contacted us was when I put up a post on social media saying, hey, need to borrow a drum kit from a radioactive for a radioactive interview. Bianca said, oh yeah, I'll drop one down to you guys, you know. So then when we got her application for an internship, I was like, oh yeah, I remember this name, you know. So you never know, like, people who you meet or opportunities where they're going to lead to, you know. Yeah, so I think that, and also just make yourself as versatile as possible. You know, you don't want to compromise on getting good at things, but at the same time, pick up as many skills as you can, because you never know what area you're going to end up working in, and you know, and even being able to self-manage yourself, or whether you're doing it for someone else, it's really good to have all these extra skills, you know. And if you're making music as your thing, just keep on making the best music you can, you know. Be as creative as you can. Make it your job to be creative, you know. Be real disciplined about it, you know. And just always looking for opportunities, I think. And
collect as many skills as possible, I think. Always say yes to helping out. Different opportunities is just a matter of being available and willing to put your brain onto different things.
Thanks for joining us, guys. It's been a pleasure to talk to you both, and
Thanks, Bonnie. Thanks, Isaac. Thanks for Something Club. Looking forward to your program next year at CubaDupa. And in the meantime, hit us up if you've got acts that you want to, you know, tell us about. We're always looking for new music to get our ears around.